Our next two speakers are leaders in the public safety realm. First is Colonel Ann Assumpico, Colonel of the Rhode Island State Police, and next is Chief Mello, the Chief of Police in Jamestown. To all the members of public safety who are here today, I want to say thank you. You're on the front lines of this. Certainly you will be on the front lines of implementing the red flag legislation. You've been amazing advocates and educators through this whole process. So we want to thank you so much for bringing us to this point today. And please join me in welcoming Colonel Ann Assumpico.
A new video game called Active Shooter was supposed to be on sale this coming Sunday. In the game, players decide whether to play a SWAT team member responding to a shooting or an active shooter whose objective is to murder people. People playing the game pretend to be mass murderers, including school shooters, running down hallways, killing teachers and students. There's even a kill count with separate tallies for civilians and police officers killed. News of this video game sparked outrage among the families of victims of actual school shootings, and not surprisingly, sales were canceled as a result. This is why we need legislation such as the bump stock and red flag laws. The Rhode Island State Police strongly supports any law that helps us save lives. These two new laws signed today will help us in our efforts to keep deadly weapons out of the hands of dangerous individuals. Those who pose a threat to our troopers, other law enforcement officers, and the communities that we are sworn to protect. We cannot continue to allow people to turn legal firearms into illegal assault weapons. We cannot continue to allow people with a history of violence towards themselves and others to have firearms. We must do everything we can to stop these needless deaths and injuries. That is why we're here today. The Rhode Island State Police supports each of these measures to save the lives of everyone, civilian and law enforcement officers. We also object to any video game or other media that makes light of mass shootings or any shooting. We must join together to tell video game makers it is not okay to make games that encourage people to pretend to be active shooters or involved in school shootings. And we must do everything within our power to end all injuries and deaths caused by guns. Thank you.
Good morning. On behalf of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association and all of law enforcement throughout Rhode Island, I want to thank the General Assembly and the Governor for hearing our concerns and taking swift action. This red flag law will allow law enforcement officers to better protect all of our citizens by helping us to keep keeping guns out of the hands of people who should just not have them. Even if that is just a pause, just a moment in time, while we can ask mental health professionals to assess someone's condition, whether they're threatening themselves or someone else. The root of the problem and the resulting tragedies all across this country reaffirms why we need sensible gun legislation and mental health reform. The signing of this bill today goes a long way in tackling both of these issues in a sensible, responsible manner, yet balances the individual's constitutional rights with maintaining public safety. We have more work to do. We need to address the broader issue of mental health across the state and country. We need to provide better security in our schools, in all public spaces. We need to improve our communications between mental health professionals and first responders and police officers. We need to find a pathway for them to work more closely together in our communities where the problems lie. We need to find resources and facilities for those who are in need of mental health treatment. I'd like to thank Commissioner Parry and Chief Wardell, both members of the Police Chiefs Association, for their guidance and assistance in shepherding this legislation through this process. And I'd like to thank the Governor, the Speaker of the House, the Senate President, and all the sponsors of the various bills, and I congratulate you and thank you for working together and with us in law enforcement and continuing to hear our concerns. Thank you.